We are back, Overwatch fans. Welcome to Stage 2 of the 2019 Overwatch League season. We're picking up right where we left off in Stage 1 with the best Overwatch players in the world doing battle live in Los Angeles. We'll kick off the Stage 2 with our match of the week, which features our 2018 Grand Finals runner-ups, the Philadelphia Fusion, taking on an opponent that has become one of their biggest rivals. The New York Excelsior are in the building as well. This is their first chance to get revenge against the team that knocked them out the season playoffs last year. Our match of the week is just 30 minutes away. Welcome inside the Blizzard Arena. This is a place filling up for our first day of Stage 2. We're here to get it ready. Guys, this is the Watchpoint Pre-Show presented by State Farm. I'm Malik Forte, joined, as always, by Zoe, Bren, and Sideshow. Guys, so good to be back. How's your break? How's the break?
Reasonable. I almost broke my neck twice. So.
Not just your neck. Literally every bone in your body was in danger.
You know they say history runs on circles, it's cyclical and stuff like that. Last year, I broke my wrist and had to come in a cast. Brent nearly was in a full body cast.
Well, okay, we need to give some context. We went snowboarding/skiing. That didn't just happen walking down the street because we didn't actually mention that.
That's true. I thought it might have been those two wrestling. I saw you guys wrestling on social media, and I thought
it's true.
It might have been.
Sometimes Brent gives a prediction, I have to take him down.
All right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get things started. We're kicking off Stage 2 with a huge show today. The Overwatch League has a new hero, Batiste. Chonak and some of the league's biggest stars tell us how their new support hero will impact the pro game. Plus, with the new stage comes new homes for several players. Which teams improved or didn't between stages? And a lot of our favorite pros were MIA in Stage 1. We'll tell you which missing faces you can expect to see breaking out in Stage 2. But before we get into all of that, though, the biggest changes for Stage 2 come in the form of a new patch, which includes our new hero. Batiste is the 30th hero in Overwatch and our 7th support hero. He has a wide range of abilities, including his ultimate, the Amplification Matrix, that doubles his allies' damage and healing abilities. Zoe, how long do you think it'll take to see Batiste affect the game?
Actually, not long at all. We already seen it. If you have been watching streams from several pro players or even already official matches outside of the Overwatch League, we already seen a bunch of use from Batiste. He will add a lot of variety. It might still be a lot of 3-3 compositions. However, we now will see a Batiste variety of that. And he does, with his entire skill set, actually add a lot of different things. Yeah. There's a lot of healing he's doing, also a lot of poke he's doing. And as you already mentioned, his immortality field. That's quite a force to be reckoned with. We already seen some teams running it in a quad support kind of way, which was very interesting. So they replaced the Diva with the Batiste, saying that, well, you know, we don't really need the Diva to eat the graph. We can just have Batiste immortality field, which keeps everyone alive. It also enables Mercy to come back for some safe rests in the immortality field. Everyone loves the Mercy, right?
Mercy.
Oh man,
I know
we're in for a treat.
I bet Doe was happy about this one, right?
No, I mean, I think it's going to be a slow thing. I don't think we're going to step away from 3-3 compositions like immediately, but I do think he will enable a lot more DPS heavy comms and a lot more variety in what we've already seen.
Right, he's got quite a kit on him. Can't wait to see how Batiste shakes things up. And in addition to the new hero, there are some changes to the existing heroes to keep in mind as well. Lucio will have some reductions to his speed boost ability. Sideshow, how big of a deal is this change right here?
I think this is personally massive because Lucio was the main hero in that triple tank, triple support, GOATS composition that allowed the heroes without any mobility, like Reinhardt, to be able to run over enemies. So you could play it against very mobile compositions because you can find people and just run them over with the speed boost. Now that the speed boost has been reduced a lot, and I won't go into the numbers, but you can test it out yourselves, you feel very sluggish now when you're playing Lucio and you're speed boosting the rest of your team. And it makes it more difficult for these slow heroes to be able to get from point A to point B. And that allows you to damage them more with spam compositions or find a pick with the dive or just put a lot of poke on them. So I think this is a huge impact.
Right. You know, but in addition to that, a few more changes that we should highlight. Knockbacks for players like Lucio and Winston will be more effective. The distance will now be more consistent. Also, Boops and Primal Rage will now catch players that are in motion or in flight. Also, Sombra will likely continue to see more play time with her health pack hack cooldown getting cut in half. Between these and all the other changes, Brent, how significant is this patch for the league?
I think this is, without any question, the biggest patch that we've seen in Overwatch League history, or in Overwatch history, I should say as well. 19 heroes are seeing changes, whether they're in the form of buffs or nerfs, but they are seeing changes nonetheless. And realistically, it is impossible to sort of find out the final goal, that, you know, where we're going to ending up in a couple of weeks' time. I think the pro players are still kind of like experimenting a lot of the times with what's good and what's bad. So it's going to be very interesting today. I'm looking forward to it. These teams are going to be running some wacky stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic, I think.
Wait, you said 19. That's 2/3 of the cast.
Exactly.
It's crazy to think about. All right, well, we'll talk about the players who changed teams between stages in a bit, including some of the teams in action today. Boston and Atlanta made some big moves over the past week. They'll square off later. We'll also see the Shanghai Dragons against the Los Angeles Gladiators and the Guangzhou Charge facing the Paris Eternal. But we'll begin the day with our match of the week. The New York Excelsior will take on the Philadelphia Fusion. New York hasn't dropped a regular season match, while the Fusion are hoping to regain the momentum that carried them to our Stage 1 playoff semifinals. This is the 8th match between these two franchises so far. New York has won 4 of those, but Philly won some big ones in this series. Zoe, do the Fusion have any advantage over the NYXL?
It's hard to tell, really, mostly because we don't really know what either team is going to look like with this new patch. However, if we're looking at the numbers there, Fusion definitely has New York's number. They have made quite an impact of them, on them, rather. They were the first team to ever defeat New York on stage. New York has been a huge juggernaut, really, in that first season we have, and Fusion was the first team to take it down. Not just that, they were also the team which kicked them out of the overall playoff, which was huge. No one saw that coming, and now they're coming into a patch where they will be able to play what they're comfortable with, which means more Winston from Sato. So I do think, regardless of who is winning, it's definitely going to be a close match, or so I hope.
I completely
Let's not
agree.
say definitely. Let's not go there.
But I completely agree with all your points, and I'm looking at the bigger picture with this match in particular, looking at Philly versus New York. New York is the team that I'm homing in on, because this is a team that realistically has been having issues. The stage playoffs that we just saw, they got knocked out by Seoul, and it was very underwhelming from New York. I felt like they were playing below the level that we've seen them play at. They are, I think, the best team that we've seen in Overwatch League history in terms of their consistency, but this is not a good sign, and even the best teams can crumble from time to time. So this match today is going to be a big test for me in seeing how well they're performing and if they are going to be still this dominant force throughout the Overwatch League.
I think it's important as well, though, to harp on that fact that you just mentioned, that NYXL are the greatest team that we have ever seen in the Overwatch League. These guys were utterly dominant last year. 2018 was their year, and then they crumbled in the playoffs. Sure, they lost that key game against the Philadelphia Fusion, but over the course of 2019 so far, in the regular season, they've still not dropped a match. So you can't be feeling too bad about this. Last year as well, when they came to the playoffs and they were playing against Philadelphia Fusion and ended up losing, I don't personally think that was too much of a choke. I think this is actually a fairly mentally resilient team. So I'm expecting them to be able to bounce back. Yes, they've had a couple of issues here with being able to fulfill their potential when it comes to the playoff games, but I think it's too early to start the whole idea of NYXL being chokers just yet. They've only lost 1 match so far in 2019. Let's be careful here.
Right, they're back on their home turf, which is regular season matches, pretty
Exactly.
much. All right. Well, lots of familiar faces on these two teams, but when we come back, we'll tell you about some of the new faces who could have a big impact on their new teams. This is the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
here are some of the notable transactions between Stage 1 and Stage 2. Lots of new names who we'll get to know in the coming weeks. Also, DeFran is now retired, and Atlanta acquired Baby Bay from the San Francisco Shock. Boston and Dallas executed a trade with Note going to the Fuel and RCK heading to the Uprising. So Boston and Atlanta will have a new look when they face off later on today. Baby Bay adds even more personality to this popular Reign squad. And for Boston, it was a bit surprising to see them part ways with Note after a solid first stage. Zoe, did the Uprising get any better from this deal?
I mean, that is left to be seen. I was honestly very shocked. I do think that Note was a huge part in Boston's success last season and this season as well. I do think that Note is an exceptionally good D.Va player. So let's take a look at how he and his now replacement actually compare. RCK actually getting the better end of the deal here, but we also have to take a look at the minutes played. So we have a smaller sample size from RCK, who usually is flexing over to that Zombra. So yeah, Note played more than double as much on the D.Va this very season so far. However, then the numbers are very close. Now it's just left to be seen how well he will actually mash with the team and generally what they will be running, because we don't know that yet.
I would expect, most analysts consider Note to be the superior D.Va as well. I would say, like, most people have him up there with Space and Poco as one of the best Western D.Vas. So this, it seems like an odd trade from the outside. You don't know what the financials were behind it as well, so.
Oh, there you go.
One trade in particular that I'm looking forward to, or I'm looking at in particular, is Baby actually going over to the Atlanta Reign. And I cannot think of a better personality to move over to the Atlanta Reign than Baby.
Yeah, this is just a character fit like no other. Yeah.
Just fits it so well. And I'm looking forward to, of course, his hit scam play, which is what he's well known for. The McCree, the Widowmaker, you know, he's got great mechanics when it comes to that. But in this metagame of what we saw in Stage 1, you need Zarya players. And with the Fran retiring, it's going to be necessary for him to fill up that role. Now, I don't know what to expect really from him. He played Zarya back in stage, back last year. Not much of it at all. In fact, a very small amount. But it is an, you know, an item in his hero pool. So he is going to be pulling it out, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's going to be playing this for the Atlanta Reign, but how good he actually is in that role, I mean, it's yet to see. So
remains to be seen, yeah.
It remains to be seen, and that's what makes this so interesting at the start of this stage, is because there's so many unknown quantities that we're about to find out.
And I'm excited to see him off the bench and back in game. Yeah, getting some play time. All right, so two teams who didn't make any player changes between the stages are the Guangzhou Charge and the Paris Eternal. Guangzhou has a deep 10-man roster who could be interesting in this patch. Paris started off hot in stage 1 before fizzling out, and their coach Damon stepped down after a 3 and 4 stage. Will Paris be on the way back up with this new coach Sideshow?
I'm not sure the coaching change is going to make too much difference for Paris, but the meta shift, I think, absolutely will. Yeah. Paris are going to be disappointed with how stage 1 went. They expected and even stated themselves that they felt they were one of the best triple tank, triple support teams coming into stage 1. And yet the rest of the league managed to catch up and then overtake them by the time that it got kind of deep throughout the season. Or deep throughout the stage anyway. And so they're going to be very disappointed with the fact that they ended up kind of under 500 in that stage. 3 and 4, 16th finish. That's not very good for a team that should have been excellent on triple tank, triple support. Looking towards stage 2, this is where they have to prove themselves. The meta is going to shift. It's probably going to have more of a focus on DPS rather than teamwork. I'm not sure that's going to be great for them, but this is their opportunity to step up and prove everybody wrong, that they're not just a one-trick team that plays triple tank, triple support, and they have that ability still within them.
Right, this is their opportunity to break that stigma. All right, so the Charge, they quietly sit in 11th place. Bren, how do they move up in the standings in stage 2?
I think they can definitely lean on their flexibility a little bit in terms of the team, because this team is packed of talent that can play a variety of roles in-game. Not many teams can realistically do this. You've got Happy, who's a fantastic Widowmaker player. Eileen as well, flexing over to the Sombra that we saw in the previous stage as well. I mean, this team can realistically do it all. And Hopper, who's known for his D.Va play, playing the Tracer, and Kib as well. I got to talk about him, my UK brother, and he's literally... He can play so many different roles, but he's been stuck in this Brigitte jail for this stage. But he's so good on a variety of other roles. So this, if we move into more damage dealer-focused territory when it comes to the compositions, should be very good for Guangzhou. And as you said, Malik, despite them being in 11th place, they had a very tough schedule. They played against Titans twice. So this is a very solid team, and I'm actually expecting big things from them in stage 2.
It's a team that's way better than their record for sure. All right, so when we come back, we'll tell you which of the most MIA players from stage 1 could be making a big comeback here in stage 2. That's next on the Watchpoint Preshow.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. and by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Multiple hero balance changes coming into the new patch. What are some of the big ones that you guys see?
The biggest one has to be Batiste coming in. He's nuts.
바티스트란 영웅이 과연 고치를 파괴할까 이게 제일 궁금해하실 텐데 이 바티스트 무적 스킬로 저 생각에는 잘만 하면은 고치 대신 쓸 수 있을 것 같아요.
He is like an interesting kid, right? Because there's no other support in the game that actually has damage like Zenyatta, but he actually brings good amount of damage. Like he could poke tanks out, immortality field, like people can't die to pulse bombs or diva bombs. That's like huge.
His Exo Boots is a really strong ability versus a tankier composition. He does have that like long-range healing AoE capability.
Certain maps with high ground, I think like it's going to be a pretty good counter against Goats.
And I think that he's going to be utilized like really well in like cheese comps.
Where you have a lot of Orisa, a lot of people playing behind shields. When you have Junkrat getting buffed, the wall and how it synergizes with everything else. You put an Orisa bongo down and a wall down, things are just going to disappear.
궁이 2배가 되잖아요 지나가면 투사체가. 그래서 솔저나 맥크리 그런 거 뽕 받고 또 투사체까지 지나가면 이제 4배.
I think it will break Goats because trying to run into that is a death sentence.
All right, so as you can see, Batiste is a cool new hero, and we'll be seeing a lot of new faces in the league this stage, but we may also be seeing some old faces we haven't seen in a while. Time for our Watchpoint missing person search. You guys tell me how much of these players have been missing and who we'll be seeing in stage 2. First up, Effect of the Dallas Fuel. He did play some in stage 1, but is known not to be a big fan of the Ghost meta. Sideshow, will we see some Effect?
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. The Dallas Fuel seem to have kind of replaced Effect's role within the team with AKM, playing that Zarya. And it depends what meta we go into. If we see a lot more Tracer, then definitely Effect is a lot better than AKM on that role. But even on stuff like Widowmaker or Soldier, I would rather have AKM in the lineup to be able to flex over from the Zarya over to those roles. So unless there's a huge amount of flexibility required and a lot of picks that AKM isn't comfortable with, stuff like maybe the Genji or maybe the Tracer, then I think we'll stick with AKM mostly on the Dallas Fuel. But we'll see.
All right, we'll see. Next up, Sureford, the popular damage dealer, led the Gladiators to a 4th place overall last season, but hasn't played since week 2. Bryn, will Sureford be making a comeback?
I mean, there's definitely potential for him, Malik, Look at that hair. Great beard.
Yeah.
Grows more facial hair than me. Looks grey and purple as well. Plays a good Widowmaker, almost on par with me again. And he's a fan of anime, Lane Roberts, a man after my own heart. I'm a big fan of him. I'm expecting to see, if we see damage dealers, as I'm suspecting we might with Batiste coming in, and all the changes as well, with a lot of buffs coming out for a lot of the damage dealer characters, I think it's highly likely that we might be seeing him in this stage.
Now that would be the greatest anime story in Overwatch
really would.
history if he was to come back. All right, the next one is a twofer. Sabielby and Pine of the NYXL. Pine hasn't played since last year, and SBB has played just 1 map this season. Soy, will we get to see these guys anytime soon?
Well, I certainly hope. I want to see the return of Big Boss Pine and the most wholesome married man, Sabielby. And I do think there is a big potential to see both of them with a potential decrease in goat sightings on those maps we will be seeing this stage, and maybe an increase of some Widowmaker play. I do see Pine being fielded in and out every once in a while. I do think it is hard to make a case for Sabielby overall, because Nene and Libero, they both have such deep hero pools, and they have been proven that they are very skilled.
Yeah,
but so is Sabiolbi. So I just think that technically you can throw any of them in, and they will be performing well.
Yes.
So now it's just a matter of whatever is New York most comfortable with. But
That's quad DPS, you coward.
yeah, let's just do that, right?
Oh, the best tracer in the world. We'd love to see him again. All right, the Paris Eternals Cloudy has yet to make his league debut. Looks like he may have a backup career if this doesn't work out for him. But Sideshow, will Cloudy be in the mix in stage 2?
He doesn't really look like that in person, I'm sure. Okay, I think we
Bond
will
villain.
see Cloudy come back.
I think Cloudy is probably their best player. So they were running Ben Best a lot in stage 1.
Right.
But in stage 2, I think you're going to need to play a lot more Winston. And I think Cloudy is much better than Ben Best when it comes to Winston. He can also play the Wrecking Ball as well. I think this guy has a ton of potential, a lot of experience playing with Team Giganti in contenders last season, where he was really powerful and one of the best players there. And he's also a caller for the team. I expect to see this guy back in. I'll give you guys a hot take as well. I think he might even be the best European main tank right now. And he hasn't even seen playtime.
You really gonna do our boy Johnny Reinforced Larson dirty like that? Listen, you saw his Team Sweden performance. He's leading the team straight to the drink at the bottom of Leisure.
All right, guys, we got one more. Last one. Krillin's amazing bowlet haircut. That's a bowl cut and a mullet at the same time. We haven't seen this in the arena since opening day. So, how much do you miss this amazing hairstyle?
I mean, he has it all. He has the mid part, he has the bowl cut, he has the mullet, he has the sideburns, he has the actual fringe as well. And also, we've not seen him on stage at all. And with looking at London Spitfire's schedule for this very stage, actually looks a lot easier, a lot lighter. So I do think there is a high chance that we might actually see some playtime from players we haven't seen in the lineup so far.
Right. That man belongs in the Outlaws with that hairstyle, man. Let me
does.
tell you. Okay, folks, we are less than 10 minutes away from our match of the week between Philly and New York. Carpe, Jonak, and friends will take the stage to write the next chapter in this epic rivalry. Stick around. It's the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to the stage, the Philadelphia Fusion. Their opponents, the NYXL.
This may be the rivalry that we all should be looking towards.
Carpe flowed like a butterfly, stinging like a Mack truck to the face.
That is such a massive win for the Philadelphia Fusion.
It is playoff time. Who will walk away as our Stage 2 champions?
Can you believe it? The Philadelphia Fusion stand on the precipice with a 2-0 map lead at half. One more. The Fusion, are they starting to run out of steam? NYXL say stay there, and that's beautiful. It's just so lovely. And the NYXL stand finally at the top.
Oh, baited. That was brutal, just getting in the head there. Philadelphia Fusion 1 round away from doing what they couldn't do at the end of stage 2. And New York just looking like a juggernaut right now. Philadelphia Fusion just falling apart here. and it slips out of Philly's hands. Pine cleaning it up, 3 kills at the end to give New York Excelsior their second reverse sweep. This map could send the Philadelphia Fusion to the Overwatch League Grand Finals, could end the season for New York Excelsior. New York falling apart a little bit here.
And this is a disaster for the NYXL.
That's it! That is it! Philadelphia Fusion is going to the Grand Finals!
All right, before we get to predictions, let's check in on our results so far. Zoe is in the lead right now.
I've been done
with
dirty.
43 matches
Well,
out of
have you though?
72 predicted right. Brandon's sitting at 26 out of 56, of course, because he wasn't there for week 1.
That's a bad excuse,
Sideshow is 0
whatever.
for 0 because he hasn't been here the entire time.
That's well, I've never got one wrong then, have I?
All right, guys, and as we look today at our picks, we have Zoe and Brand, or Zoe and Sideshow in Lockstep and Key, and Brand is completely separate. He takes the Fusion, the Uprising, the Dragons, and the Eternal. What's going on with that, guys? 30-second face-off. Go now.
Go on, mate.
I swear, you're just picking the Shanghai Dragons because you always pick the Shanghai Dragons. Do you really believe in them? I don't even think so. Gladiators going to come out here. They're so prepared. They're going to clap them.
I didn't see any reason in that, but let me give you some facts here. Hard facts, Josh Jorgensen. Primary colors, name them. Red, yellow, blue. Do you see purple in the primary colors? No. Red, Shanghai Dragons. Can a dragon beat a lion? No, I don't think so. The Dragons exist, possibly, we don't know. And the outcome of this match here, Shanghai will take it because it's the color red. And,
all right, guys, that does it for the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm.
What insanity in the last moments of that fight! And the Van Vancouver Titans take what was promised to them. It's been an incredible stage thus far, but there's more to come. Takes him out with his signature McCree. Mid sleep dart, he didn't even hit the ground. What? Jinmu beats. Good night, he puts them in the grave. Only one, no, there's two injuries. It's a brutal beatdown, and he's got another one. IKM is back.
Justice reigns from above.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Overwatch League 2019 season. I'm Excelsior, joined by Wolf, and we are going to jump straight into the action. We are kicking things off for stage 2 with the match of the week. Philly Fusion getting ready to go up against the New York Excelsior. Long-time rivalry for these guys ever since Al started last season.
That's right. We've got a lot of changes coming into stage 2 as well. We've got a new hero. We've got a new patch. So it's going to be a little bit different than where we came from, right? When we take a look at stage 1, this is where we stand right now. Remember, the playoffs we just watched with Titans taking that first stage doesn't affect standings. This is the list of map wins and losses that's going to affect the final season playoffs much later on. So this is where we kind of have to not only remember where we came from in the stage playoffs, but also remember where the team stood at the end, because teams like Defiant, third place, didn't make it that far in the playoffs, but they're still very, very high up.
We'll have to see how people are going to make it, how far they can go in stage 2, because we do have some changes coming through. New hero coming in. Batiste will be taken to the stage maybe today. Maybe we'll finally get to see him. But we also have the new map, Paris, going to be debuting in a different order. Moving Control, Assault, Hybrid, then Escort. So just flipping around maps 2 and 3 in their order.
Yeah, Batiste, very much a hero that has been highly anticipated. He's a support hero. He outputs AoE healing, but he also can create an immortality field, making himself, and his allies around him unable to be killed unless that's destroyed. It can also be hacked, so you could do a lot of really cool stuff with this hero that also has high mobility with his exo jump, where he could get into high locations and he does fire a gun that shoots at range. Unlike most supports, he can actually do damage at a high range. And also, because of this mobility, there's going to be a lot of places he can get to that other supports, maybe basically besides Lucio, couldn't get to. So high mobility, high healing output. Here's the immortality field at work. You can see these heroes don't die to the self-destruct because they get just down to 40 HP.
Yep, reduces them low, but we're going to have to see what the best of the best can do with this hero. We're ready to go. No matter where you're watching from, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Disney XD, we're ready to jump into the action for the first match of stage 2. So let's go ahead and bring in our first team. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Philadelphia Fusion.
They made the playoffs for stage 1, and they made the first finals in Overwatch League history. They are, in a lot of ways, the kryptonite to their opponents tonight in New York Excelsior, and they're looking to bounce back tonight after a fairly disappointing playoff run. It's a tough opponent, but if they can take out New York once again, I think it says a lot about how much this team can bounce back from adversity they faced just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, rough start to the season as well. Did not have their primary support in Boombox, but now he's been in the results. It's been an upward trajectory for these guys overall. We'll see how they can kick things off in stage 2, whether or not it's going to be a victory. But like you said, their opponents, it's a very tough one. They are the juggernauts of the Overwatch League. Fell short against Seoul Dynasty in the playoffs there in stage 1. Let's see if they can kick things off with a win as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the New York Excelsior.
Every analyst predicted this team to take the stage 1 finals, and no one really thought they would be upset by a team like Seoul, but they were. They lost in that massive upset. Seoul came in, really good Sombra play, and it's hard to keep your emotions in check when you're winning non-stop in regular season, then you hit this snag in playoffs. Can they bounce back tonight, or this afternoon, I should say? We're not quite nighttime.
Getting into the evening.
But, can they bounce back here against Philadelphia, who has always had their number, has always been a kryptonite for them. They beat them in the season playoffs to go to the grand finals. Everyone thought New York would go to that finals. Everyone thought New York would go to the stage 1 finals here for 2019, but both things were stopped short.
I mean, New York thought they were going to that finals. They planned fan meets and all sorts of stuff in New York City, but they didn't really get to go to the stage, but they're going to get back on that path as best as humanly possible. Take a look here. The finishing moment as Dynasty were able to get the upset victory over the NYXL in their first ever playoff appearance as well. It was just an absolutely stellar start to the season for Seoul Dynasty. We're going to get to see them a little bit later on and see how they are going to be faring coming in with the potential changes, the slight adjustments we would expect to the meta with Batiste coming through. But NYXL certainly going to be thirsty for that victory to try to take down Philly Fusion.
Yeah, this is very much a series I think that will hurt more if you lose it as New York here too. After that loss in the playoffs, and you know you're the favorites going into this match as well. You know you're facing off against this opponent that has such a history of beating you. You know, despite the fact that your record is often higher than Philadelphia's here. So for New York, I think it's time to win this series, win it convincingly, bring that momentum back as we head into a new stage. We talk about the new meta. There hasn't been a ton of time for both of these teams to adapt to Batiste because they both did play in the playoffs. We're going to take a look at our maps here presented by Toyota.
And see exactly where we're headed here for this first series. So gonna kick things off on Lijiang Tower. Then we will have the debut of Paris on the Overwatch League stage. Is our second map. Again, Assault flipping into that second slot. Then we'll move into Hybrid. And then we'll close things out with Escort unless we can make it to that fifth and final map. And honestly, it's our match of the week. It's the start of the stage. I'd be more than happy to jump straight into a 5-map series here at the beginning. But for now, we'll be at Lijiang Tower.
That's right. Control map, you got to get 100% of that meter in order to take the first round of 3. There'll be 3 rounds here. Best of 3 on this first map. Libero to start things out with the Batiste here, it seems, but no, he was tricking us.
Okay, gonna be flipping back over to that one, but Fusion on the other side, we'll be having the Wrecking Ball. They're gonna have EQO on the far, and Nene for NYXL over onto the Roadhog. So some adjustments coming through as we kick things off on Night Market. Already in onto the point is the NYXL. Nice right clicks coming through, gets the hook, EQO pulled in, taken down. Mono says, thank you for first blood.
You never really expect the Roadhog to hook the Pharah of all heroes, but he finds the location, knows she's low on fuel, doesn't really have an escape angle there. Wade saves his cooldown and snags it. We are going to see the Fusion swap composition back to what we call traditional 3-3 with Reinhardt, Zarya. But New York have what we like to call a pick-based composition right now. You're looking to get a single kill with the Roadhog hook or with a Reinhardt charge, and that way the opponent team is just going to have to completely reset. And you're building meter at that whole time.
Yeah, have to see how these guys are going to fare, though. NYXL going to be Zarya-less, so do not have that Graviton Surge potential as we move deeper into the fights. EQ already going to get hooked into the back, but Libero comes up with the kill instead. Decent start for NYXL as they look to maintain control, and now with the supports getting ready to go down, seems like they will go ahead, hold on to this one. Bubble's going to block that hook, but they're just going to go ahead and delay kill Carpe, get that nice stagger rolling through 30% plus over to NYXL.
This is really nice for the NYXL because they're just building control meter. I think there's a really high chance that when this does get taken away from them, we'll see Nene swap back over to Zarya. In fact, he's just going to go ahead and do it right now. The whole hog is pretty insignificant in this meta, so you don't really need it. They've actually gotten such an advantage that they're always going to be ahead in ults now, even if Philadelphia flips with this next push.
Pushing their way through, taking a bit of damage, staying behind that Reinhardt shield. Tries to say Bono's going to be going forward. Gets that nice nano boost through, and he'll get him a double kill onto both of the supports for the Philadelphia Fusion. That's all she wrote for this approach. Reset and try it again.
They didn't have a Graviton Surge yet, and that's a big problem. Philadelphia Fusion lost those last 2 fights before this one so handedly that Carpe wasn't able to build enough charge, not to mention that they weren't starting with a 3-3 comp, so he lost even that ult charge timing. So when this flip comes through for Fusion, it will happen very likely because Nene's behind an ult charge at the moment. It's going to be 99, so all of the New York will have to do next is build that ult and go for a final push. They need to be efficient with this take.
He's got it online. Sleep Dart's going to be coming through. Sato hitting the ground. The bomb coming in. Carpe going to be taken down. I think they popped the bubble in time to get the explosion to come through. They find the pick. Now Sato eliminated. It's 90%. The kill's still coming in. Philadelphia Fusion, they might not be getting that flip that you're talking about. They might not be able to use any of these ultimates.
They didn't get to look for the engage they wanted. Poco's just staying here to try to get the tag.
Tries to zip his way back on. Will make it back in onto the ground, but yeah, cannot force out the OT. So already a stunning start to this series for NY.
Yeah, this is a situation where New York Excelsior is understanding how to get kills before the fights that Fusion wants can happen, right? Before the Zarya ult is complete for Carpe, they stick with the Roadhog, they get those hooks, they get those single kills, so then it suddenly becomes a 6v5 fight that Fusion can't realistically win. Then, when the ult is ready, they take a fight off the point. They don't allow Carpe to get the grab he wants. And in that moment for Poco, it wasn't a mistake. He was hiding, hoping that he could tag the point so his team could get back before that 100%, which gives the round to New York. We will see mirror compositions here, it looks like. Although, as I say, that Sato is going to be on the win stick.